Curiosity killed the cat. It's a very common saying. It's often seen in various cases and situations. Janet was a 23-year-old woman who wanted to leave her abusive boyfriend. He was very obsessive and often accused her of cheating, beating her, and breaking her emotionally. Afterwards, she would spend hours crying. Finally, he'd come in and say,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. You forgive me?
to which, of course, she'd forgive him. But as any human being, we can only take so much. And I guess you can say the water had reached its boiling point. She would secretly talk to her mom about her problems and the life she was having with him. Her mom tried to help her, but there wasn't much she can do. If Janet would have moved with her mom, her boyfriend would have found her again. She wanted to get away from him as soon as possible, but she knew she needed a stable place and a job to pay her bills. In an attempt to help, Janet's mom tells her that she had inherited a house from her grandmother, but she didn't want to tell her because her grandmother wasn't a very good person in life, and she used to practice black magic in the house. A very good reason why she'd never mentioned it to her. Janet's mom didn't sell the house as she didn't want nothing to do with it, and she hoped that the state would claim it due to unpaid taxes, but somehow the taxes were being paid in full. Whoever was that mysterious person paying for them, Janet didn't care. Her determination to get away from her boyfriend was stronger than all the black magic that her grandmother used to practice in the house. She quickly asks her mom for the address. Her mom tells her that she will only give her the address under two conditions. One, she must move out of there as soon as possible. And two, don't enter the attic at all, no matter what you hear. And as followed, her mom gives her the address to the house. Janet hesitates on moving out. Maybe she thought he would change. But 2 weeks went by, and she seen things escalating more as he often abused her. She finally makes up her mind and writes him a note. She places it on the bed while he's at work, and without packing much of her stuff, she leaves. After a long drive, she pulls up to the house that her grandmother had left, and she notices that it looks old, deserted, and some parts of the wall having graffiti on it. She opens the main door to the house. She notices spider webs everywhere, along with dusty surfaces and a stench. For the next few days, she dedicates her time cleaning out the house as much as possible, and even gets rid of the graffiti on the wall. She wasn't worried about getting a job yet, as her mom would help her with the bills until she could get stable with a job and also a different house. Days later, the house looked better. It didn't even have the stench anymore. But of course, how could she forget the attic? She promised herself not to touch anything in the attic, but she was going to have a quick look around in it. That couldn't hurt, just a quick peek. She approaches the attic door. This attic was the kind that swings down from the ceiling. She gets a chair and steps on it to open the attic door, but as she tries repeatedly, she can't open it. She then notices that there is red candle wax all around the seam of the attic door. With a quick self-debate, and remembering what her mother had told her about the attic, she gets a lighter from the kitchen and starts to melt the wax off the attic door, disregarding her mom's stories about the house. She gets done melting the wax and starts to pull the door down. As she peeks her head in, she notices only a few things in it. A few candles on the floor, old clothing, boxes, a wooden box that was about a foot square with engravings on it, and a beautiful mirror. She feels safe to walk in, and so she does. As she enters the attic, she notices that the candles on the floor were surrounding a pentagram. She figures that it must have been where her grandmother used to practice her black magic. She walks towards the mirror and admires its beauty. She's stunned by it, that she just must have it. And of course, what dangers can come from a mirror? She places the mirror in her bedroom and gets ready for bed as it was already nighttime. She couldn't sleep much that night. She felt that something was staring at her from the mirror, and often she woke up in the middle of the night. It's morning now, and she's ready to apply for a job in town and purchase some beauty supplies as she was not with her boyfriend no more who wouldn't let her wear any. She puts in a few applications and heads off to the store for her beauty supplies. She buys a lipstick, mascara, and a powder foundation with the word Bella written on the case. After her long day in town, she heads back home. She makes it home and quickly goes to her bedroom. She looks into the mirror that she brought from the attic and begins to try the makeup she bought. She loves it. She feels beautiful. Then she washes it off as she was only trying it and gets ready for bed. In the middle of the night, she once again has that feeling of being watched from the mirror. She can't sleep, so she lays there in fear as she keeps a close eye on the mirror. A tall shadow starts to step out of the mirror. It terrifies her as she keeps laying there pretending to be asleep. The figure seems to be carrying a box. She remembers the box from the attic with the engravings on it. She was sure it was that box. The shadowy figure makes it out of the mirror and exits the room. She can hear this thing walking down the stairs and opening the front door and leaving. She decides to stay in bed as she's scared and fears for her life. She knows that thing isn't human. After an hour or so, she hears the front door open again and closing. Something starts to come up the stairs. She can hear the footsteps. The shadowy figure makes it into her bedroom again and goes straight into the mirror, vanishing completely in it. It's morning again, and she has decided to put the mirror back in the attic. She starts to move the mirror when she notices the word Albel written on the back of it, but she pays no attention to it. She's more worried getting this mirror back to the attic. Once she's done putting the mirror back in the attic, she closes the attic door and tries to tie it shut with the cord that hangs down from it. That way whatever comes out of the mirror can't come out of the attic anymore. She then goes on about her day, cleaning and doing some yard work, and suddenly she gets a call from her mom. Apparently, her boyfriend had threatened her mom to tell him where she lived, and her mom had no choice but to give him the address. Janet panics now, as she knew that he would soon arrive at her home. She decides to call the police. Police shows up, but her boyfriend wasn't there. No signs of him around either. All they can do is patrol the area more often, which they do. It's nighttime now. She gets ready for bed, watching television until she falls asleep. Again, she wakes up in the middle of the night to footsteps in the attic, then in her hallway, and out the front door. After an hour or so, the front door opens up again, and the footsteps come up the stairs and into the attic. She was sure it was that shadowy figure, vanishing back into the mirror. The next day, she went back to town to find a witch that could help with her problem. The witch tells her that there's not much she could do, but to try and trap this figure in a mirror with his name on it. Even if the letters weren't in order, it didn't matter, as long as the letters were there to form his name. Then she would be able to trap him in it, to which after she would have to break the mirror to get rid of the entity. Janet goes back home after visiting the town witch and starts to pull all the mirrors from the house and places them in the hallway with the name Albel written on them. She couldn't break the main mirror that the shadowy figure came out of, as it would only allow bad things to come out of it. It's nighttime again. This time she can't sleep. She's waiting for the shadowy figure to come out of the attic, and it does. She hears the footsteps making its way past the mirrors she had set up and exiting the front door. Feeling defeated as she couldn't get the shadowy figure to look into the mirrors she had placed in the hallway, she begins to cry. After an hour, sure enough, the front door opens again, and she can hear the footsteps coming in, making his way up the stairs, past the hallway where she had the mirrors, and into the attic. She laid in bed crying and trying to figure out a way for the shadowy figure to look into the mirror. She couldn't. There was nothing she can do. The next morning, she looks out of her bedroom window. She can see the kids playing in the playground that was across the street from her house and notices the wooden box with the engravings on it. It had been placed under a tree. She wonders why that shadowy figure would leave it there. She puts her shoes on and heads towards the wooden box. Once there, she wonders what's inside the box. But as she was about to open it, she begins to have a terrible feeling about this box. Something wasn't right. She leaves the wooden box and decides to go back home. She makes it back to her house and closes the door, then starts to make her way up the stairs when suddenly from behind she hears a voice.
Where were you? I thought you would never leave me.
It was her boyfriend who finally made it to the house and was right behind her on the stairway. She's scared as she doesn't know what to say to him.
I'm sorry, I couldn't do it anymore.
She begins to weep as she knows that he isn't happy. He's mad and begins to abuse her and taking his anger off on her. And sure enough, he apologizes afterward.
I'm sorry. I know I can change. It's just that sometimes you make me mad.
She helplessly nods her head. She knows she has no other choice and can't really call the police at this point as she wasn't sure what he will do to her if she did. They both go to the bedroom and he makes himself at home. She wakes up the next day to him yelling at her over breakfast. She quickly gets up and starts to prepare it for him.
That's better. You're learning how to be a good wife now. I've been planning our wedding all last night.
The thought of being married to him makes her feel like there will never be hope for her, and she stares out the kitchen window. She can hear the kids laughing and playing in the playground across the street. She wishes she could be a kid again. How she enjoyed those summers. She snaps out of it once she notices the wooden box still at the playground, just sitting there underneath that tree. One of the kids gets close to it, and she watches as he opens it and quickly vanishes.
Where did he go?
Unsure over what just happened, she tries to go over and investigate, but her boyfriend stops her.
Where do you think you're going?
I was just going to check the mail.
She steps outside and sees that the boy who had approached the box is nowhere to be seen, and now their parents seem worried. Her boyfriend calls her back in and demands for her to wash his clothes as he sits and watches television. She feels like a maid instead of a wife or a girlfriend. Once again, she feels helpless. Police shows up at the park across the street from her house, and her boyfriend forces her into the restroom to stay there until police leave. She's sad and she sits there with her purse, no phone. She looks into her purse and sees her makeup, remembers wearing it, and how beautiful she felt. She wants to get rid of it, as it would only cause her more problems, but she doesn't. It's nighttime again, and her boyfriend finally lets her out of the restroom.
I forgot you were there. Why don't you come out and make yourself useful? Cook something for me.
He tells her as he's laughing. She goes straight to the kitchen and starts to cook. She wishes she can get rid of him for good. She wishes she could just poison him, but it wasn't in her heart to do something like that. She finishes making dinner and she brings him a plate. They both eat together. After, they both get ready for bed.
What's with all these damn mirrors? You need to get rid of them.
They both lay in bed, and he falls asleep quickly. She notices that her phone is gone. She knows he hid it somewhere. As she lays there, she finally hears the footsteps in the attic, making his way down and once again out the front door. Quickly but quietly, she gets out of bed and looks out of her bedroom window to see what the shadowy figure is up to. She sees that it goes straight for the park, and it kneels at the foot of the box, opens it, looks in it, then reaches in it. It looked like it grabbed something, then placed it in its pocket. The shadowy figure then starts to walk back to the house, and Janet quickly gets back in bed and pretends to be asleep. She knows she can't trap it in the mirror she had set up, as the shadowy figure won't look at them to get sucked in. It's morning again. Once again, she wakes up to her boyfriend demanding breakfast. She goes to the kitchen and starts to make it. She serves him. Then, once again, she stares out the window. She sees the box there at the playground. She asks her boyfriend if it's okay if they went out to the playground to get some fresh air, and surprisingly, he accepts. They get to the playground, and she sees a poster with the faces of the kids who have recently gone missing, along with the kid who she saw open the box. She's confused by how quickly the kid vanished. She walks to the box and her boyfriend gets curious about the box, but quickly leaves it alone as he spots a police car driving by.
Come on, we're going back to the house.
Not wanting to, but feeling forced to, she walks with him back to the house. Now her boyfriend is curious about the contents in the wooden box and makes her stay in the restroom while he headed back to the playground. She once again looks inside her purse, getting distracted with her makeup, but doesn't wear it. It's nighttime again, and her boyfriend never made it back. She cautiously opens the restroom door to see if she can spot him. Maybe he forgot about her again, but he's nowhere in the house. She quickly goes to the playground as quietly as she can, but the contents in her purse makes noise and dogs start to bark. She gets to the wooden box, also so curious over what's inside. As she's about to open it, she notices that her front door is opening, and the shadowy figure starts to emerge from it. So quickly, she opens the box to look inside, and with the blink of an eye, she was trapped in there too. Inside the box, she sees hundreds of mummified bodies from all ages, and amongst all this was the missing kid that she saw open the box. And of course, there was her boyfriend too, but he wasn't mummified.
You set me up! You set me up, you witch!
She was scared at this point. She felt condemned. Her boyfriend approaches her, and she knows what she has coming from him. But then the box opens. It's the shadowy figure. They were both frightened as they tried to hide from it in the pile of mummified bodies, but it was helpless. She sees the figure reach in and take her boyfriend, but it only took his soul, leaving his dead mummified body as he placed him into his pocket. Then the shadowy figure looks into the box, getting ready to take her soul. She feels sad, desolated, and miserable. She opens her purse again as to put on her makeup. She at least wanted to die feeling beautiful, but quickly notices something. The foundation mirror in her purse says Bella, which also spells out Albella. She quickly pulls out the mirror and faces it towards the figure as her last hope to save herself. The shadowy figure gets sucked in, and she destroys the mirror, and as a result, she got her freedom back. This story was written by me. If you like my stories and you wish to hear more, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.